asking for. Don't you call me Casanova? I can see you falling slowly. I'm just trying to get to know ya. We can take your time, come and show me. Send the air aroma. I don't wanna try to make you mine. Don't you call me Casanova? Just want you to love me.
Want this? Isn't it crazy how the stars have fallen aligned? Oh, yeah. But can I be honest? I'm so afraid to fall too deep or flow too high. Cause all of this chemistry, it caught me by surprise. Baby, won't you take your time with loving me, loving me? I promise, boy, that we'll be alright. I don't want the rush to get the best of me, best of me. It just makes me want you more and more.
Don't you call me Casanova? I can see you falling slowly. I'm just trying to get to know ya. We can take your time, come and show me. Send the air aroma. I don't wanna try to make you mine. Don't you call me Casanova? Just want you to love me. I want you standing right here next to me. No other way, that's how it's supposed to be. We've been going overtime, I'm hoping I'ma leave all the doors wide open, oh yeah. But you wanna turn and walk away, go talk to me. That's all I wanna know. Don't you call me Casanova? I'll give you the promise of love. Just trying to get to know ya. I can give you the word, I can give you the word. Send the air aroma.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Microphone check. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy One Gun here, and today, folks, welcome to episode 1 of Talking Comics with One. This was originally called something else. I changed the name, and decided to just restart it and just do something a little bit more, I like to my liking. I want to talk about comics. I'm trying to keep these shows kind of quick. So today we're going to talk about, let me find it. Here it is. This one. Let's share this tab instead. And there we go. So bump this up. All right. So Marvel has decided that they don't need to pay their artists anymore. I came about this. I heard about it for like the last couple of days, and like I sat back and I actually came over here to actually find an article. Now there's been many articles published about this, but I chose this one from Bleeding. I think this is Bleeding Cool. And it says Marvel Comics hasn't paid Jonathan Galipian down to Disney layoffs. So whatever this is. So Disney has been laying off a lot of people, and one of the biggest things I knew something was going down at Disney is when I heard that I think they fired the guy, laid him off, got rid of him. I want to say, but he's not working no more. The guy who's behind publishing for Marvel. That's what I heard. Now this was some months ago. And after that, I think even a little bit before that, they said they was like laying off their whole special effects team or something at Marvel. It's a whole bunch of stuff. Now, I think that the problem is that these corporations think that they can downsize the hell out of their company, fire people, and have AI make up the difference. But the problem is that I don't know how that relates to comics. I don't know how you're going to use AI to draw comics, because think about AI. AI does shit so generically, people will notice that what they're looking at is AI, So I'm trying to figure out how this goes. So they need artists. You need artists. You're gonna definitely need artists and writers and stuff to make these books. In my opinion, I don't even think that they are going to even actually. I think they're going to get to a point to where they're just going to stop printing books, and what they're going to do is they're just going to just make everything licensable, from Disney. So instead of like Disney actually doing like X-Men or something like that, and it all stays in continuity. Somebody's gonna come along, maybe like Atomic Fro and somebody like that, and say, "Hey, I want to get a license for the X-Men, so I could do my X-Men." You know, so he licensed the name, the characters, and he gets the Bible, and he start making his version of the X-Men, I guess. So you're gonna see comics. Uh, you're gonna see comics changing because this is the most craziest weirdest shit, but they're planning to just stop doing comics the way it's always been done, which it is what it is, folks. But here's my take. So some talking points here about Greg Capullo calling out Marvel Disney payment problems. The first thing is that Greg Capullo publicly called out one of the big two comic publishers for allegedly failing to pay his longtime friend and inker Jonathan Glipion for completed work. Capullo hit it was not DC, which points the conversation towards Marvel. That's funny. Let's see. Let me get the rest of my notes out here. Now the thing about Greg Capullo, he's not some small creator complaining. Greg Capullo, not Greg Capullo, but the Jonathan guy. He's not some small creator. He is a respected professional inker who has worked at a high level in comics. Greg Capullo is one of the biggest names in the industry, known for work on Spawn, Batman, X-Force, and more. When people at that level speak up, the industry pays attention. That's true. Greg Capullo's been around for a long time. My first time looking at Greg Capullo's work was way back in the 90s when he did the X-Force annual, the first X-Force annual, and he did some killer work on that. And right after Rob had left X-Force, I think Pacella and Panosian started working on it, did a couple of issues, which looked incredibly horrible. And then Greg Capullo came in, I think, like around issue 15 of X-Force back in the day, and he was killing it. He was killing it from day one. I mean, he was freaking killing it. Let's see. The key issues work was completed before the deadline. According to Jonathan, he turned in 5 ink covers before the deadline he was given, while also working on his own book. That makes the situation even worse because this was not alleged late work or incomplete work or disputed work. So he did this work, turned it in, and he still hasn't got paid for it. Now I have checked to see if anything's changed since then, and nothing has changed. He's still what's up, Hollywood? He said we released our app but can't show, but contracts on. Well, that's cool. Well, hurry up and get that contract stuff out your way so we can like check out that game. It could be work. So he did the work, and they haven't paid him. And like I said, I checked, and from what I understand, there has been no update to the story. So the guy's still unpaid, which is sad. Let's see what else. The bigger problem may be Disney's payment system. So right here it says, the payment system could be the issue. The article argues this may not be one single person refusing to pay, but a larger corporate payment problem. Disney payment systems are described as old, slow, dependent on people inside the company, chasing down checks and fixing issues manually. And the thing about it is that they're able to crank out some really bad movies. They're able to find money to make a Star Wars theme park, and that they was shut down eventually after a year. And they're able to do all these things and lay off people and replace people with AI, but they can't figure out a way to get a paycheck to one artist for inking their books. This ain't like one book. He did like 5 books, 5 freaking books for this guy. Um, let's see. Let's see. Here it is. The consequences of layoffs. So yeah, this could play into layoffs because they laid off a lot of people in their corporate staff, and I think a lot of those layoffs probably came through like some of those departments that are in charge of paying people, keeping people paid, human resources and stuff. So they probably laid off a lot of people and turned that over to AI. So the consequences of layoffs is a major talking point is that Disney and Marvel laid off a lot of people, including administrative staff. When companies cut the people who handle payment contracts, invoices, and commissions, freelancers can get struck waiting for money they already earned. So yeah, I mean that's what happens when you sit back and you when you fucking lay off a ton of people. And, you know, they had I forgot like they just got this new guy running it. So you know, every time they bring in somebody new to Disney, anytime you bring in somebody new as the corporate CEO, the first thing they do is they start cutting jobs, right? Because they're trying to make look good for the what they call it, the investors and shit like that. So he has a job to do, which is cut cost, make profits, and impress the investors. You know, that's his job right now, and he's going to come in now. They're already laying off people. They're already cutting people. So when this guy comes in, he cuts more people. So what he so and think about this: when you do that, you actually you start to cripple your company. Your company starts to get crippled because now it's not working at the capacity that it could sustain itself. Now it's working at even lesser capacity. That means you're putting more stress on people to do maybe double the work. And when you got somebody doing double the work and you're putting stress on your workers, those people are going to quit. So now you didn't actually laid off people. You actually have to worry about people getting overworked and then eventually quitting and saying, "Screw this, I can do better somewhere else." You know, so that's what happens in corporations. They don't think about the person; they just think about the profits. They're not paying enough people to pay other people. That is the line. That line is the heart of the article. The company may have saved money by cutting staff, but now the system is breaking down in a way that hurts freelancers, vendors, and working on. Yeah, I just said that. Yep, I just described that a minute ago. Freelancers are the most valuable, and it says a giant corporation can survive delayed paperwork. A freelancer may not be able to. Artists, inkers, colorists, letterers, and cover artists often depend on timely payment to cover rent, bill supplies, and production costs. That's true. That is true. You know, so corporations, when they cut their staff and their operations down to a crawl, the people that really pay for it are usually the people that you owe money to. You know, and if you got like one person, or if you got one person doing the job of 3 people, you know, most likely it's going to be delaying your payment, you know, whatever. And also and that leads to another thing. This also leads to the damaging the trust that Marvel has. So even if delay is caused by bureaucracy, it still damages the relationship between Marvel and the talent. If creators believe they may not have to fight for months to get paid, they may think twice before taking future work. Well, yeah. If I hear that there's a job out there and I'm like, "Hey, where is it at?" It's at Marvel. I'm like, "Nah, I'm good." I'll be better off finding somebody. I'll be better off doing something for myself because they're not going to pay me. You know, I will starve, be homeless before they give me my check from them. So yeah. Um, so Greg Capullo, I'm gonna hopefully I can show it. I got like a couple more points here to talk about. Greg Capullo amplifying the issue gives it weight. A smaller creator may be ignored, but when someone with Greg Capullo's reputation speaks up, it forces the industry and fans to look at the problem, which may be a bigger problem than Jonathan. You know, which may be a big problem for Jonathan because the article suggests Jonathan may not be the only one dealing with delayed payments. That is the larger concern. Is this the, okay? Let me start this because I had to clear my throat. Jonathan may not be the only one dealing with delayed payments. That is the larger concern. Is this an isolated incident, or is this a sign of bigger Marvel Disney payment breakdown? I think that's the problem. I think that this is a bigger issue with payments payments. I think that's why I just think it's a problem with they've cut their staff. It ain't like Disney ain't got the money to pay this guy. I just think they've cut the staff, the people who are responsible for getting these people their paycheck. I think they've cut that staff down to so much that they're probably back. They're probably back to quite a few people because Disney doesn't not have to worry about paying like no one or two people. They have to worry about paying thousands of people a month. And if you cut if you cut the job that's responsible for getting these people paid from like a couple of dozen people to just half a dozen people, well then that's like I said, it's gonna put more work on that staff and shit's gonna be delayed. You know. Let's see. The comic book industry relies on invisible labor. Fans often focus on writers and pencilers, but inkers, colorists, letterers, editors, and production workers keep books moving. If those people are not paid on time, the whole system starts to fall apart, which is true. You have. I mean, when a comic book is more than just a writer and a penciler. You have people. And I do remember this at Wildstorm. Wildstorm had like you had the writer, the artist, and the inker who were always the first three names you will see on the inside of the cover. After that, you will see all these other jobs: technical assistant, background assist, inker assistant, assistant editor. You will see all these people's name. And the reason why these people play a very advanced role in getting that book out, because most of the time you get a artist who will do the book, but he probably won't do the backgrounds. Then you have assistant background artists who will come in and do all the backgrounds. It's crazy because people have this mindset that the artist does everything. The artist does everything. The inker comes up, and then you have the colorist, the letterer, and all that other shit. But no, it's quite a few people that put in work on a comic book. You can have up to 10 people working on a comic book at one time, and people think when you don't know a lot about comics, you don't understand how it really works. You probably know a lot about reading them, and you probably know about go buying them. You probably know a lot about the company, you probably know a lot about the artist, but you don't know what actually goes into production of a book. A lot goes into. You have the colorist, you have the color checker, it's a lot of work. Especially when you have an editor who has to go through all that shit. And these guys have back in the day, you had 30 days to get all this shit done, but now what they do is they pay a lot of these artists up front, to work on a book, to work on 5 issues, and when the 5 issues are done, then they put the book out, and then the artist and the writer and whoever takes some time off, work on something else, or or just take a break, and then they come back and do another 5 issues. Usually that's the way they kind of work. But anyway, the public question Marvel needs to answer is, the question is simple: what was the work accepted? Was it delivered on time? And why has payment allegedly not been made for months? Keep the criticism focused, as this should not be framed as Marvel hates artists unless proven, which is true. We don't know what's going on. Now, I know there's a lot of people who are saying hate Marvel, but we don't know what the full problem is, and I don't think it's because they don't want to pay this guy. There has to be a breakdown on their services to this guy to get him paid. But here's the thing is, the guy had to freaking contact them, let them know he hasn't been paid, then got Greg Capullo to speak up for him so he can say that he haven't got paid. So I don't know. Are they listening? Do they even care? Are they scrambling? I mean, I don't even think they even put out a statement about this. I don't think this has even been solved yet. But they're not paying their people. And these corporate people who have jobs, they get their paycheck and everything, they don't know what an artist has to go through to feed their family, pay their rent, get their bills out. Those checks, that money he's been waiting for is probably money he probably needs to keep a roof over his head. And that's not all. I've also heard that Marvel has stopped paying out royalties to artists for their work they've done, making them billions of dollars off their making characters and the work on the books and stuff. They stopped it. Now I heard DC still pays out their royalties, but I heard Marvel has stopped paying royalties to some of these artists and some of these people who made a lot of the stuff that they're making billions of dollars off of, or were making billions of dollars off of, because Marvel hasn't really produced a decent movie in years. So let's see. So the final point is, if Marvel and Disney want professional work from professional creators, then those creators deserve professional payment. You cannot build billion-dollar brands on the back of freelancers and then make them chase money they already earned, which is true. Pay your people, man. Just pay them. So the problem is not just one late check. The problem is what it says about how major corporations treat the people who actually make comics, and that's true. So those are my notes. On this, and let's go and check this out. Where is it? So I went and I found this. So if you look here, it's Greg. I'm over here looking at Greg Capullo. It says, my longtime friend and inker, Jonathan Glepon, whatever his name is. John, I just call him Jonathan right now. I don't know how to pronounce it, I think. Despite my intervention, cannot get paid for work rendered months ago from one of the big two. Hint, it ain't DC. It's just outrageous, shameful. Totally, it is shameful. And I'm sorry you have to go through this. So here's what I think this is his response to this, what Greg Capullo did for him. But despite turning the work in before the deadline given, he did 5 covers. So that was like maybe, if he's working on a professional level, he's getting paid over $2,000 per cover, maybe $1,500, $2,000 a cover. So he's owed some money. He owed about maybe somewhere between $8,000-$10,000. Inked in the middle of the drawing and inking my own book. So he did 5 covers while he's doing his own book and drawing his own shit. So he's a hardworking guy, and he complimented after that. So we got Michael Bancroft, Sean Chris, a lot of. So here it is. So when is this? This was on June 18th. It's the 25th now, and he's still no reply. So he still hasn't got a reply, no nothing. Smith with the next bucket. So this is just all the shit. But yeah, it's a sad thing to see an artist have to beg for his money after he did 5 books. Now, inking 5 covers, that's a lot of money. They owe this guy. And the thing about it ain't like I don't know if the books ever got published, but he still did the work. Whether the book got published or not, he still owed that money. And I know some people who've been done like that. I know people. I mean, matter of fact, I know a guy who who told his story about how he worked for somebody over here in Comicsgate, and he did a cover for somebody. And when it came time to get paid for the work, the guy said, he's not going to pay him because he didn't use the cover. I'm like, but he still did the cover. You asked the guy to do the cover, and you're going to back out of it and say, no, I don't think I should pay you because I didn't. No, that's not the way this shit works. If I do some work, if I put in labor, I put in hours to draw something of your ilk that you asked me to do, I expect to get paid for it, whether you publish it or not. What I found out about this guy, that he's a fucking con man anyway. So I feel sorry for people who get done like that, but that's just the way motherfuckers treat you. That's the way motherfuckers are. That's just the way shit is. So anyway, folks, thanks for dropping by for this quick little video. And I will definitely see you guys in the future. Thanks for watching. This is your boy One Gun, and I'm signing out. Peace.